All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always, it is
Matty Juice. What is going on, everyone? Episode 49, closing in on the 1 year mark, Tommy, of the Fresh Juice podcast, and one of many years. We'll be doing this well into our 80s, and I'm very excited.
If we do this into our 80s, what else would you expect? Because that's what we're setting out to do. Holy smokes. We do have a great episode for you all this week. We are reviewing Crypt Custodian, a new Zelda-like action platformer. Very exciting stuff. We'll see if we liked it, though. A lot of people are enjoying this game, but did we? Is the main question. So we're going to jump into that, but, you know we got to catch up. What's going on, buddy? How you been?
Yeah, been good. Labor Day weekend. So I know we saw each other over the weekend for the family party, which is always good. Play a little volleyball, had a good time, a little ramp shot action. Let's see, today, Labor Day, just kind of relaxed today. Didn't do too much, to be honest, which was kind of nice. Just play a little video games, just hung out a bit, went for a walk, kind of chill Labor Day. And just getting ready for the work week. Honestly, my Maria's getting ready to go back to school. She's a teacher, so that's starting tomorrow. So the dread is setting in, and other than that, I mean, not too much going on. I know we watched Hunt for the Wilder People. Ooh. I know that's something that's been brought up before on the pod. I believe. I think it was one of your rec rooms at one point.
Maybe.
Yeah. So watch that movie. Great movie. Highly recommend it to people out there if you're looking for a laugh. So but other than that, hasn't been too much going on. What about you, Tommy?
Yeah, a lot of the same last week. I mean, we did all go over to our friend Bags' house to watch Rings of Power, the first 3 episodes, which we'll see how this season goes. I like the first season. This season, some of the storylines I'm realizing I don't care about so much. I'd rather just focus on some of the other storylines. But unfortunately, that's what happens when you have shows like this with like so many different characters doing so many different things that you just sometimes have to pay attention to some storylines that maybe don't matter right now, but will all culminate at the end to be one big thing. So you have to pay attention. So it should be interesting. Actually, I need to find out when the new episodes drop. I forget what day that is, but I will be keeping up with it. I want to say Sunday, but I don't think it is. It's probably
I think it might
Thursday.
be Thursday. Yeah. I'm thinking, but I'm not too sure either. Yeah, I haven't looked into that.
I guess we'll have to find out. But Friday, I went to the dentist. That was cool. Actually, it wasn't cool. I don't like the dentist. That was all right. And then Saturday, I worked, which kind of sucked, but I did a favor for someone, and then, family party. And then today, mowed the lawn, which was fun.
Nice.
Mowed the lawn. I also moved a whole tree last week. That was fun. That we had to chop down in the yard. That was awesome. I loved moving it. And it definitely, I definitely didn't put it illegally in the woods next to my house. If anybody asks, that didn't happen.
Didn't happen. Yep. Just blends in.
In.
Which tree was it? No one knows.
the woods. It's wood. So anyway, but that's really what's been going on in my life. This week's going to be a short week for me. Work 2 days and then head to Tampa for the Rosetta World Premiere for Flesh and Blood, the card game that I play. Very excited for that. It's going to be a fun weekend. Never been to Tampa. Been to a lot of places in Florida. Tampa's not one of them. I'll be able to once and for all determine that I really hate Florida if I don't like Tampa, because I'm not a huge fan of the rest of it, folks. I'll be honest with you. But we'll see. But we do have some news. Did you know that?
I didn't. Tell me the news. Tell everybody the news.
We got Discord. Oh my God.
What?
We got a Discord. You should check it out. It's in the show notes. And it's a great way to kind of connect with us and other juice heads in the world. check that out. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome, right? I mean, I think
It's
it's awesome.
great. It is. It's great. You guys submit your listener questions in there. We always appreciate that. You guys are always posting game recommendations and stuff too. We've definitely reviewed games that have been recommended from the Discord. So it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be if you're a fan of the show.
It really is. And I don't know. I never got Discord, right? Like I had it, right? But I never understood it. Like I didn't
Yeah.
understand the power of it until I got a Discord for my other podcast. And I was like, oh, this is such a great community tool.
Yeah.
And, we have one too. I mean, so there you go. It's pretty cool. But it was pretty light news week, kind of holiday week, end of the summer. We're probably going to get a lot more exciting stuff as we get closer to the holiday season. But I figure it'd be fun to kind of each talk about some games we really enjoyed this summer, and perhaps some stuff that maybe we didn't even review that people can check out. Now that perhaps people are going back to school or work or something like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, a lot of great games that we've reviewed, coming to mind, like some stuff I'm looking at in my Steam here, like Questmaster. Really enjoyed playing Questmaster. That was a cool one. They've actually made some recent updates too. For those who don't know, it's basically a Zelda dungeon builder, which is pretty sweet. And they just came out with like some new updates, some new bosses, adding a little bit more variety into the dungeon. So that was a good one, for sure. Also, I got to shout out Haunty. That was a game that really kind of came out of nowhere. Kind of, the game this week also kind of gave me a little bit of Haunty vibes. Well, we could talk about that. So another great one. Angerfoot. We honestly, I think the most of the summer we had a pretty strong kind of showing. There were only a few duds here and there, from our point of view. But I would say overall pretty strong showing. But yeah, for me, I mean, I think Questmaster and like Haunty were kind of like shining pretty strong. A little, Ember Ward as well. Yeah, but as far as I'll think about the games I played outside the podcast. But as far as the ones we did in the podcast, those are some bangers right there.
Yeah, they really were. Big fan of Haunty. Ember Ward definitely, really enjoyed that Hollow Survivors prologue, which, to be honest, they'll come up again later in the episode. Funny enough, a little teaser for you, foreshadowing. And Preserve was honestly such a pleasant surprise and like a good summer chill game, which was neat. Some games that I've played this summer that perhaps didn't come out this summer, but I did play a lot of Cobalt Core, which was a deck builder roguelike. I played Knock on the Coffin Lid. I enjoyed that. I'm still kind of jumping into more of that. That just came out. And I played a lot of Wild Frost. We talked about that. The He Is Coming demo. He is what? Yeah. He is coming. That one was pretty cool. And honestly, I played this game called Thronefall that was really, really fun. I would definitely recommend checking out Thronefall. And then I did finally jump into Noita, which was on sale during the Summer Game Fest, Summer Sale Fest, Steam Summer Sale, whatever it was. I got it. And it was fun. And another one I enjoyed was Heretic's Fork, another roguelike deck builder / tower defense game that was like a lot of fun. So some really great games that have been played this summer.
And you were hitting up the demos this summer too. I mean, big summer for demos in general, but I felt like every time I talked to you, they're like, "Oh, I tried out this new demo. Tried out this new demo." Like that's the way to do it, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Demos are huge, and like even a demo like He Is Coming, right? That demo itself is picking up a lot of steam on Steam and like YouTube and stuff like that. Like I get fed videos of people saying like, this roguelike auto battler is insane. I can't wait for it to come out. And it's like a one person development team too. So it's like super exciting stuff like that to just kind of find those little gems and hopefully, review the full release whenever it comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I didn't really get into too many demos. I mean, I'm kind of looking at my games that I played outside the podcast that didn't really come out. I mean, most of my time was in Once Human. That came out in July. But I also played another Crab's Treasure. That was like April, end of April, beginning of May, almost getting into summer there, kind of still spring. But and then yeah, Noita I have to play more of. Like I bought it, I think when you did as well. And played a bit of it, but I definitely got to play some more of it because it is definitely a game with like just a ton of content, so much to do. So I gotta dedicate some time to that. Um, and then I know also on the cusp of the summer there was Animal Well as
Yes.
well. That was in May, so that was definitely a great one. And we're gonna do at the end of the year too. We'll do like a recap. We always talk about our best game of the month, right? So we'll take a look at like our favorite games that we reviewed throughout the year, and then we'll figure out what is our game of the year. That should be an interesting conversation. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough combo.
It's going to be tough, but maybe also not so tough. Like, at least for me.
Yeah, I think I can guess what your game of the year is.
Yeah.
But we'll wait.
We'll see.
We'll wait. Yeah.
Listen, we got a couple more months of games to play. And, some real bangers looking to come out soon. So we'll see. But yeah, not a lot of news this week. Figure we just talk about some games that we enjoyed this summer. If any of those pique your interest, check them out. We reviewed some of them. Some of them are just up on the old Steam, and you can check those out. But we got to talk about this game. We got to talk about Crypt Custodian, which, as I said earlier, Zelda-like Metroidvania action platformer. It's blending a lot of genres into a pretty streamlined game, and we'll talk about how it's how. But yeah, you play as the charming, and yet mischievous cat named Pluto, who's sentenced to the afterworlds, to be the afterworlds janitor, and you have to go through and you hang out with other doomed ghosts and stuff like that. You just kind of explore this underworld in what seems to be a pretty vast world to explore and do a lot of stuff, which I'm going to save for the actual review. But it is developed by Kyle Thompson, and I believe the sound was done by
I think his brother.
Yeah. Declan Thompson. That could be totally wrong. Another Thompson, and it's published by Kyle Thompson himself, Top Hat Studios Inc. and H2 Interactive Limited, and it is out on Steam and Switch. It might be out on more platforms.
Yeah, I was trying to look into it. It was hard to find out everything it was on. I only found like listings for Steam and Switch when I Googled it, but it could be more. There could be more.
There very well could be. Now, it is $19.99 for this game, but it is 15% off until September 10th, and that's on Steam. I think there was a sale on it for Switch as well, which is what I played it on. And we did not get keys for this game. We paid. And yeah, let's get into it. You want to start with the gameplay? I feel like I always
Yeah, sure. So like Tommy mentioned, it's a Metroidvania. It's kind of got this like isometric view though to it, rather than it being kind of like a platformer, which I think is like what we're kind of used to typically with like Metroidvanias. And honestly, we'll get into the story because the story plays a lot into like the gameplay and kind of what you're doing. But I thought exploration in the game was pretty great. They give you obviously a map that's pretty easy to read. Sometimes you get in these Metroidvanias and like it's tough. Like I know Animal Well, I'd struggle. I'd be like, where am I on this thing? Everything kind of looks similar. And you can leave markings and things like that. So I thought map was great in the game, made exploration a lot easier. It's not one of those kind of games where I felt like there was a ton of exploration. I was like, okay, I've like I can confidently say I've cleared out this area based on what the map is showing, so I can just kind of leave. It never really felt like at least in like a game like Animal Well, I was like, there could be secrets all over here that open up this map. It's not really one of those games to me where like I was kind of stumbling across a lot of different secrets in the game, which is fine, but it also just makes you a little bit more confident when you're exploring. You have weapon. Your weapon is a broom. Obviously, you're a custodian, so you're like Tommy mentioned, you're sentenced to kind of be the janitor of the afterlife, along with a bunch of other kind of afterlife beings that you come across. Everybody's cleaning up this part of the afterlife. So your weapon is a broom, but you do have some things called badges, as well as some things called special attacks. So badges are basically like kind of your passive sort of abilities. In a way, you can have a few different things, such as like when you have low health, like you deal more damage, or you can have something that kind of orbits around you and deals damage to enemies as they get closer. So kind of stuff like that. And then you get into your special attacks. That is basically there's a set amount of those that you can select. I think it's like maybe 10 that you can unlock throughout the entire game. And basically, as you defeat enemies in the game, you're going to be building up your kind of special attack sort of power up, and then you go ahead and use it. So the first one you get is just kind of like what you would almost expect in like games like this. Where it's just kind of this spin attack, right? That kind of Zelda spin attack. But then you start to unlock more of them, some more interesting ones. And then there's even one where I didn't even get to it, but apparently it just shoots out like 2 random special attacks. So it kind of makes it like pretty fun. I was watching some videos of that because I just wanted to see kind of what else was able to be unlocked, because I put a few hours into the game but didn't get to beat it. I believe it is about a 10-hour game too. So coming from a solo dev, that's pretty solid, I'd say. I had a good amount of time, good amount of fun exploring with the combat. I thought the combat was simple, but it was, overall still pretty engaging. I never felt like I was bored with the combat. And then, you do have a dodge, you jump. So that's kind of like how you can vary up, your different moves. You get a dash, you get, there's a few kind of basic things that you end up unlocking. And then just the last 2 things I've noted here that are just cool about the gameplay is you do unlock a boss rush mode, which is kind of sweet. So the whatever bosses you kind of encounter in the main story will unlock then in the boss rush mode that you can do on the main menu. So that was cool. You unlock that pretty early on. And then the other thing was there's a shop in the game where you can buy different upgrades, badges, special attacks, things like that. But then there's also a jukebox, which is always fun. You can find discs in the world. So kind of adding to that, like, successful exploration part of the game where, like, you might not know what you're going to find, but then you find like a CD and you're like, oh, this is cool. It can change like the soundtrack of while I'm playing, it's pretty sweet. But really what I thought was great is that you can buy like location markers on your map. So if you explore an area and maybe you didn't explore everything, you can go buy for a certain amount of the credits. You're basically collecting garbage since you're a custodian. That's what the currency is. So you can buy a location for an item that you missed in an area that you've been to. So that's really cool because we all know it can get pretty annoying as you get into like the later stages of games like this, where you're like, I'm missing one item. I have no idea where this is. You can actually just go buy that marker. So that's a really cool idea. And then you can also do it for like the next leg of the story. So you can know, okay, I need to head this general direction. And then I will progress the story. So those 2 little things right there, I think every Metroidvania should have. I don't care how hardcore you want your Metroidvania to be. I think those should always be at least options for the people that just don't want to, run around aimlessly. I know Animal Well, I loved Animal Well, but I spent a lot of time going back into the same rooms trying to figure out where I was supposed to go. So yeah, overall with the gameplay for this, I really enjoyed it. It's not the most complex sort of gameplay, but I thought it was rewarding enough for me to want to continue playing it. So yeah, that's how I was feeling about it, Tom. What about you?
Yeah, so I hopped into this, and it was definitely reminding me of a lot of games that I played, not only story-wise, which we'll get to, but certainly gameplay-wise. Things like Tunic, which is all like Zelda-like stuff, and then you have your Metroidvania stuff as well, and then like Death's Door and, the other isometric top-down games. So initially when I'm playing it, right, I'm going through and I'm having a good time, and all right, I'm like, this is not reinventing the wheel, really, and which is totally fine. But I was like, this has been done. This is doing it well, and I'm running around and I'm doing doing my thing, and then I get to explore more. And then when I kind of feel the Metroidvania aspect like creep into this, that's when I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is a little bit different. It's a little bit different, and I do think there is some backtrack exploration for, because you can also get photos, pictures of like your memories and stuff like that, because you don't really remember a whole lot about your life, and that kind of plays into your the story a little bit, but then the special attack slash upgrade system kind of comes into play, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. You get to customize however you want Pluto to be in this game, and how you want to attack these different enemies, and then like how you want to combine different upgrades and stuff like that, which I thought was like really, really cool. Now you do have to get extra skill points if you want to start stacking these upgrades, which is a great reason for you to keep grinding as well as exploring and doing the main story. So like you can be a kind of a completionist, which I do like that kind of aspect as well. You know, funny enough, I recently started replaying Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, which had this really cool system. Like when you killed an enemy, you always had a chance to get their soul, and their soul would give you like an attack or like something that you can equip. So this doesn't have that, but the idea of having a Metroidvania where I can collect different kinds of abilities to use and kind of customize it to however I want, and also certain boss fights might need, or not need, but might be easier if I use this ability, which is not necessarily strong as you're going through the main story, but it's pretty good against this boss. I love that kind of stuff. So that was cool. And then the real cherry on top, the thing that really sold me on this game as kind of being a unique experience, was you run into these totems or like statues or whatever, and they'll be like, here's a challenge, you know, and you're like, okay, what's the challenge? And then maybe it's like, you have to be cursed for 15 enemies, and the curse is whenever you kill an enemy, they explode and try to deal damage to you. But that doesn't go away until you kill 15 enemies, and then at the end of that, you'll get like a bonus, which, like the you know, I like playing high risk stuff, so I was like, oh, I want to do all these curses. I mean, I don't think I only got one, like I actually completed one of the challenges or whatever, but I love that. That is just such a cool little thing. It plays into the world that's built here. That's like, nothing really matters because you're dead. It's in the afterlife. And it was like, you can try to do this, and maybe it'll work out. Maybe you'll get some extra bonuses here, whether it's extra trash or an extra life on your health bar or whatever. So that was really, really cool to me. I love stuff like that, where it's like, here's a negative effect for a little bit for possibly a reward later down the road. So I like that kind of stuff, and the fact that this game had that, I was just like, that is just such a simple thing to add to a game like this that I think it really just adds to the whole experience. Because I think it could get stale a little bit if it was just running around smashing stuff, right? But that adds like a different layer, because you're like, oh, I want to get cooler upgrades, and I want to be able to stack upgrades, but you know, maybe I want to do it sooner than just grinding. Oh well, you know, maybe I gotta do this challenge. So really enjoyed the gameplay here. It's a really just well made Zelda like Metroidvania, whatever you want to call it. The controls are really smooth, seamless. The combat is interesting. You know, there is, you know, you have the dodge mechanic, the dodge roll, which is a good time. And then other than that, it's a good experience gameplay wise. But I do think the story is really, you know, something that I don't know if this is where it shines, but it definitely lends itself to what you're doing. So you're playing this cat that died, and you kind of go to, you do the tutorial, and then you go to the main person that's like the gatekeeper of the palace, probably like their version of heaven or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, that's so sad. You were a stray cat and you lost your family, yada, yada, yada. And then this person Kendra, I believe the name is, goes, "Oh wait, during the tutorial, you smashed a bunch of my statues. You are therefore banned from the palace, and you must be a janitor for the rest of your life in the afterlife." So that's the setup to the story. It's not really much of a spoiler. It happens pretty quickly, and then you kind of get thrown into this pretty cool world, right? Where it's, there's enemies running around for whatever reason, but you're in the afterlife and you're cleaning stuff up, and it's really, the vibe is relaxing somehow, even though like you're supposed to be dead, but like the other characters you meet are like so full of life and like fit into this world so well that you're just like, this is a really well thought out world that was built for this game. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And like the idea that there's something about like not really having the high stakes of like, oh, if I die or whatever, like, now obviously it's a video game, so like we always have extra lives, right? But like the fact that like when you die you just go back to the last save point, and you got to backtrack quite a bit or whatever, but the save point might be able to like add an extra upgrade or whatever. That is a nice little gameplay loop where the vibe of you getting killed doesn't, it's just like, oh, go back, like you screwed up, you gotta start over, whatever, who cares? And I kind of like that. And we've seen this in quite a few games now, right? This is where it comes in. This is not the most unique story, right? We saw in Haunty. There's, I can think of multiple games where you are somebody that is dead and now are doing your story, right? And I think that's totally fine. It's a good trope. I enjoy that trope. Kind of a cool way to explore who that character is by perhaps reminiscing on the life or trying to discover what your life was like. Who was I in my real life? We saw a lot of that in Haunty, to be honest, but we see a lot of that in this as well. So it's a nice, cute little story, and cats are cute, right? So and like there's a lot of frogs in the world as well. So it's like it's all very cute, and I liked it. It's not. I don't think it's. This is definitely not reinventing the wheel, right? This is something we've seen quite a bit of, and it's not a bad thing, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's the most original thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's once you kind of get to that point where like you're like you think you're going to be going through like the heaven door, and then you end up going through the not heaven door, or whatever you want to call it. You just kind of realize, okay, I get the idea of kind of this game. But yeah, I do think that the way the story is not just told through like cutscenes or anything like that. I mean, you do have like dialogue boxes, but then you come across like different ghosts, and those ghosts also have like their own pictures, and you can actually kind of like see how they died basically, and why they want to get to like the heaven or the palace, as they call it, side of things, because there's like this magical mirror that like if you look into the mirror, you can like briefly enter like life again, and you can like no one there will see you, but you kind of like are able to like feel their feelings. You just kind of get like a little taste of like life again basically. So that's why everybody wants to get to the palace side of things. But yeah, as far as like the overall story, it's not anything shocking, groundbreaking. Like Haunty was more was a similar story, but I also found it like a little bit more interesting because there were people in that game telling you, oh, you don't want to like ascend, and so trying to figure out, well, why are they saying that? This game doesn't really have that. It's like everybody seems like they're on the same side here. Like, oh yeah, we all want to get to the palace, So like I said, I didn't beat the game, so unsure of really how the story unravels, but it's definitely not anything that holds the game back. It's just nothing that's super unique.
Yeah, but I will say something that is unique, I think, is the art. Sure. I think a lot of it takes some inspiration from other games, especially like the environments, but I think the character design is super cute, right? I think you kind of see this. I don't know what kind of style you would call it, chibi-ish. No, it's not chibi,
Yeah,
but
I
like
guess.
it's
Yeah.
chibi-esque art style. But I really love the character design in this, and especially the enemy design, right? The enemy design, like, you can tell what the enemy wants to do to you,
Yeah.
which I think is really, really cool. And that's like a really fine touch that sometimes is not always there, right? And it's very helpful when you come across new enemies, because you're like, oh, this looks like it's gonna do a spin attack against me if I get too close. This looks like it's gonna shoot me with something. I need to keep that in mind when I approach this. And I think that's a really smart way to design characters and enemies in games. And then I like these cute little frogs that look like I could have drawn them, and the cat looks like I could have drawn it, but it's still well animated. And the way that Pluto, the main character here, moves through the world is so seamless, and it looks great, and it feels great as well. And I just really liked the way this game was animated. And I think, maybe it's not the most original art style, but like the way it felt, especially throughout the gameplay, was a pretty unique experience that I think I've had, because this could have easily been very Paper Mario-esque, I think, right?
Yeah.
Based on the art style, and I didn't get that. It felt very fluid, almost like you would forget that it would even be Paper Mario-esque. So I enjoyed the art here.
Yeah, same here. I was actually looking into because it's a solo dev, so I was trying to see like what his other projects were. And he actually had a game that came out around 2 years ago called uh, Islets, Islets. I don't know how to say that properly, but similar art style. So it seems like this dev really likes that art style, and yeah, I like it as well. It's simplistic, but it's also got like a good amount of detail to it. And yeah, the characters are kind of like paper esque, but then the world itself is more like 3 dimensional, and I just really enjoyed like the small details as well. Like I like that the garbage you find in the world, it's not like really sticking out too much in the game, right? It's not like finding like a coin in Sonic, right, or something like those sort of currencies that are just like easily identifiable. Like sometimes I'd walk by trash and I'd be like, oh, like that I can collect this, like this is currency. So it kind of also is great because it just adds to like the world building where it doesn't seem like totally out of place. And then even like the small details, like when you're talking to different characters and like in the dialogue boxes, it's like highlighting, these important people that you should know, and it's doing it in a way where like it's kind of got this like animated gradient on it, and then like the letters are kind of bouncing up and down. Like it's just like really like child, well, I don't want to like cute. It's very cute, not childish, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it reminded me of like Animal Crossing kind of in the way, just the way the dialogue boxes were. But I always love when games, especially indie games, like highlight specific words. I feel like that's such like it's something from like Zelda, like the Zelda days, like old school Zelda, that they would do that. And um it's just something that sometimes indie devs don't do, and I just appreciate when they do it because it just makes the whole experience a little bit better. You start to remember things a little bit easier, which is nice. And then yeah, just in terms of like the environments, everything's kind of got like this like theme to it. Like you go into like the shop in the game, it's all like kind of, you know, um, I don't know, neon and dark, and it's like this kind of club feel. There's like a VIP section you can't get into. And then you go out in the world, and it's like this like peaceful kind of world with just like some enemies, but it's got like moss growing on stones, and like it's just a very good kind of like balance of like the way the art looks, depending on where you are in the game. So yeah, I was a fan of the art style in the game. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because, like you mentioned, you kind of almost get this Paper Mario feel when you're looking at like just the art, even if you were just watching videos on YouTube. But then as you're playing it, you realize like it's not, the art isn't really like the main, at least the art of the character doesn't really, I don't know, affect the gameplay as much as something like in Paper Mario, where like your paper basically. So yeah, I just I like the art overall. No complaints really. I'm trying to think if there was anything else in terms of the menus, but everything was really clear. Didn't have any issues with I played like with controller. I mean, everything worked well with controller art wise too. I never felt like anything was like not optimized for controller. I think it's actually recommended to play with controller with this game too when you open it up. So they kind of got like the bigger menus and it's just easier to kind of select things, your badges and your special attacks. So art wise, yeah, they did a good job with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and the sound design is pretty great here too, because to be honest, well, first of all, the soundtrack, which I believe is done by a relative of the dev or brother, perhaps, maybe somebody else related to them, but is I don't want to assume, but it reminds me of a lot of Passion Pit's first album, if that makes sense. This kind of electro poppy, not like super pop, but like has this electro kind of mystical danciness to it, and it just really plays well into the game, as well as the actual sound effects sound great. When you're smashing the stuff, because this is a game much like Zelda, where you would go back and you'd like go smash a bunch of stuff to try to get more rupees or whatever. You can go do that in this, smash more statues or find more garbage heaps and stuff like that. This is a game where you're going to be doing it a lot, and it all sounds really good. And then also when you're kind of walking through the world and then jumping on different platforms, certain platforms will disappear, etc., etc., and just the nice little sounds that just sound perfect. It's like good to hear, right? It just all lines up, and I think like the fact that it's not homogenous, right, where everything kind of sounds the same, and that's not a bad thing. I think that you can get that and it totally be fine, but the fact that it's not that is such a nice little touch and something that I really enjoyed here. It just outside of the soundtrack, which I enjoyed, but like just the small details in the sound design were really nice.
Yeah, agreed. Everything from like breaking pots, just interacting with objects, even like the enemy sounds. All those little details were really well done. And then you kind of got this calming music almost in the background, but like it kind of like pairs really well with like exploring. But then it kind of gets like upbeat, as you get into like the combat phases of the game. So it just does a great job like transitioning between the two. And I don't really have a lot of notes about the sound. I mean, um, everything was done like really well, sound wise, interacting with the shopkeeper, just in general, exploring, using your dash, like everything's got like their own little sound to it. That just makes it almost gives like some of the enemies and some of the things you interact with like actual weight to them. It's kind of tied with like some of the animations that you get when you're interacting with certain things. But the sound just like was exactly what the game kind of needed. With just any game where you're going to be like having these sort of Zelda elements, right? Where like you're going to be breaking a lot of things, exploring a lot of areas. Like you just need to have good sound design so that it doesn't sound super repetitive. Because if you're going to be doing all these repetitive sort of things of breaking pots and just kind of like hitting switches and all that sort of stuff, if it's a terrible sound design, it's going to get really annoying really quickly. So they did a good job kind of balancing all that stuff sound wise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I played on Switch and I had no issues with the performance. Did you?
No, I played on PC, no issues whatsoever. Good to hear that the Switch didn't have issues. I wouldn't expect it with a game like
Yeah.
this, but you never know with the Switch these days, right?
Maybe a little long loading screen initially, but I mean, that was it,
Yeah.
to be honest. And
Yeah.
it was a really good time. Let's get to the rating. We haven't rated a game in a hot minute here. Our rating system, is as follows. Your best games ever, Certified Fresh Juice, followed by a steal. These are games like Angerfoot, No Rest for the Wicked. I'm just looking at
Pepper Grinder.
Grinder, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have Get on Sale, which, you know, can be like Rebel Transmute, a Metroidvania that we had reviewed, Hellskate, which we kind of gave an on sale as well. And then you got Manager Special. These are games like Oh Dear or what else do we get? Grand Soul Story. Things that, like, if you're really looking to scratch an itch, maybe you'll enjoy it. But I think generally it's hard to overlook its failings. And then finally, there is Spoiled Milk, which are games that we don't recommend for anyone. Have we ever had a double Spoiled Milk? I don't think so.
No, I've only ever given one, and I think you've only given one as well.
I've given two.
Oh, two. Okay.
Just King and Dungeon Minesweeper.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. Yeah, I've only given it to Oh Dear. So
yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be a double Spoiled Milk for this one.
I don't think so.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
So this one was tough, right? I was teetering back and forth between Certified Fresh Juice and a steal on this one quite a bit. Now, I think where I'm landing is a very high steal, very optimistic steal. This is a good game. You're going to really enjoy it. There's no real downsides here. The reason I'm not giving it a Certified Fresh Juice is I just don't think it is different enough. And like, games shouldn't have to be super different or whatever, but like you're going to get this experience with a lot of games. This is going to be a good experience in that realm. But I think that 5 years from now, when we look back and we're like, oh, you remember Crypt Custodian? I'll be like, oh yeah, that one was good. I like that one. Rather than, oh man, I played the hell out of that. That was a Certified Fresh Juice. That was lights out. So only for that reason, and like I mentioned some of the things that I had an issue with. Like the story is not necessarily anything new. Some of the gameplay is also not necessarily anything new, but everything else is really kind of firing on all cylinders, and you're going to have a great time with this game. So for that, I'm going to give it a very high and optimistic steal.
Yeah, you know, I'm right there with you. I'm giving this a steal, and my reasons, yeah, basically originality. You know, it's like you said, it's not the most like original kind of story in the game, and even just like gameplay wise, you know, it's very simple. But the thing about this game and why it's easy to recommend too is just everything works. You know, it does everything really well. It's just not doing anything incredibly new. So like, you know I keep bringing up Animal Well, but like Animal Well did like it was, you know, it did so many things really well, but it also did a lot of like wow moments where I was like, oh wow, like that's what a cool area I've discovered. Wow, look at that enemy. Like in this game, I never really had any of those like wow moments, but I was really enjoying myself while playing it. So yeah, I'm giving it just a straight up steal. You know, definitely something, you know, $20 too. I mean, it's on sale. Like I totally think that's worth it. And I guess it was a similar price you said on Switch, right?
Yeah,
So
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah. So I just think it's worth picking up if you're into Metroidvanias, and especially, you know, I feel like there's the cat crowd out there, right?
For
Just
sure.
like this is like great, you know, if you're into like the feels when it comes to like owning a cat and all that stuff. I saw people mentioning that quite a bit in their reviews on Steam, as I like typically like look through that stuff before we talk about it. But yeah, it's just it's a great game. So I'm giving it a solid steal.
Hell yeah. And it is, well, this is the first episode of September. What was your best game that we reviewed in August? Now, technically it was only 2 games because we had some kind of retro review stuff going on. Hollow Survivors Prologue and Preserve.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's tough between these two because like one of them is just a prologue, right? But let me just look back at this. We gave Hollow Survivors Prologue a steal, both a steal, and Preserve both certified fresh juice. So by that, I'm gonna go with Preserve as my favorite August game, and it's really just because I I played games like Hollow Survivors Prologue before. Preserve is not really in my wheelhouse of like normal games, and I really enjoyed playing it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Preserve for the best August game.
Yeah, I'm going with Preserve as well. Sorry, I have a fly in here. I keep trying to catch off
You're
screen. Yeah, I'm going with Preserve.
good.
It is a beautiful game that was a huge surprise. And honestly, one of those games I'm like, every time I think about it, I'm like, I should hop back in and maybe play a little bit, like just relaxing, right?
Yeah.
Something that you don't have to pay a ton of attention to, but if you do want to, you can. So yeah, Preserve for sure. And next week we're reviewing a game called Dungeon Divers.
Yeah. Should be an
So
interesting one. Yeah, it's I feel like the name makes you think of one thing, but when you guys see the game next week, you'll be like, "Oh, this is not what I was expecting." So, should be interesting.
it's a space fighter, we'll see. But now we have to get to the listener questions. These can be submitted on and in the Fresh Juice Discord. Please check it out below. The first question comes from Bags. Shout out Bags. Favorite Will Ferrell movie?
Favorite Will Ferrell movie? This is a tough one, because there's a lot of good ones. The first one that pops in my head is Anchorman. I mean, I've probably seen Anchorman the most out of all the Will Ferrell movies.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is maybe because it was on TV at this, just pretty often. So I just really enjoyed Anchorman. If I had to like choose maybe one that I now watch most often, it's probably Elf, just because I usually watch it every like Christmas time every year. But yeah, I guess I'll just go with those two. Those first ones popped in my head. But what about you, Tom?
I think other than Elf, the one that I watch the most, and probably do still watch more, and definitely quote more, is Step Brothers. I'm a big Step Brothers fan. I don't know. There's something about that movie. It's just, I love John C. Reilly. It's just a banger. I love Step Brothers. So I've got to go with that one. But next question comes from Capolo, who got married this weekend. Congratulations, Capolo.
Hey, congrats.
What's your guilty pleasure video game?
My guilty pleasure video game. Oh man, this is tough. Trying to think. I mean, first thing that pops in my head is Rocket League. I know I brought that up before. Is like that's like a game that people I talk to wouldn't even think that I really play, but like it's a game I always have installed whenever I like want to kill some time or I just want to chill, like laying back on the couch and I just got some a little bit of time to kill. I'll boot up Rocket League, just play a few matches, play terribly. But I'm thinking that one. That's just the first one that popped in my head. But I was trying to think of like maybe a mobile game. I mean, Retro Bowl, but that's like guilty pleasure is like, I'm trying to think of like something that like is not the norm for what I would be playing. So I'll just go with Rocket League. But what about you, Tom?
I will go with.
Did you catch it?
I didn't catch the fly.
Okay.
Oh man, we had the windows open today because it was rather cool. And September's here. It feels very nice. So some varmints got in here. This is a tough question because I don't really feel guilty about many games I play. Right? You know, I'll play whatever and have a good time. But I guess like the one that in the general consensus of the world, has a little bit of a negative connotation, it would be League of Legends. Yeah. I like to play League of Legends. I'm not good, and I think that's almost better that I'm not good. And it's like I'm not one of those sweats.
Yeah. You just go in, you do your part, and you're out of there.
Yeah. I don't even do my part. I swear to God. if only like if I could hear these people scream at me, it would be pure joy for me because that'd be hilarious. Very toxic game. So that's probably mine. Now, okay. Haymore asks a pretty interesting question here. What are some games on your Steam wish lists right now?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I'm trying to load my wish list, and Steam is loading so slowly for me. So, Tom, if you have yours up,
Yeah, I'm gonna
go
read all of
for it.
them. I'm gonna read all of
Okay,
them right
go
now.
for it.
I
Every
have
single one.
Nuclear Throne
Oh,
on here, which is a game I've had wishlisted since 2018 and have
oh my
not
God.
pulled the trigger on it. I don't know what's going on there. I definitely might check it out at some point. This is a probably Chinese game, The Song of Survivors. I
Hmm.
added that on in 2021, and it's still coming soon. Don't know what's happening there. I have Core Keeper on there, which I know just entered 1.0, and it's on
Yeah.
sale, so I might actually have to grab that one. The Plucky Squire.
Ooh, yeah.
I think maybe you shared that one with me.
Yeah, it should be coming out soon, I think.
Oh yeah, September 17th. So I have
Yeah.
the Plucky Squire on there. As We Descend, a deck builder roguelike that I am waiting to get into the beta. Very excited. It looks so cool. That game, I can't wait for a chance to play it. I have Crypt Master on my wish list. I don't know if I'll ever buy it. It's a little too expensive to buy. It's $25. I have Dark and Darker on here for whatever reason. It's free. I don't need to wish to have it. I know that there's a caveat to it being free, but
Yeah.
it's the caveat does not affect it being on my wish list at all. I have Sulfur on my wish list here.
Oh yeah.
Halls of Torment, which is I guess kind of a bullet hell Vampire Survivors like. Pretty
Okay.
cool. It's in early access, $5. I guess maybe I should take a look at that one. I do have Hollow Survivors on there, the actual game,
Nice.
which I guess is due Q1 2025. Arco, which does look really, really cool. I do want to play that game. But there's just too many things to play right now. That's why it's on the wish list. Throne and Liberty, that new MMO. I played a little bit of the early access or open beta or something like that. It was good. Last Spartan. I have a lot of stuff here. Last Spartan, Glory
Yeah.
Over Madness. Not really sure
Ooh.
what that one is. It looks like a deck builder roguelike. Yeah, that checks out. I don't know why that's on my. It doesn't. The art style is not even really something that I'm into. We'll see. He Is Coming.
Yes, he
Yes,
is.
he is. That one's on the old wish list. A game that I played a demo of and recommended, Necro King, which actually comes out this week.
Oh, all
I'm
right.
excited for that game. Holy smokes, that's pretty exciting. Can't wait to play it. And Slay the Spire 2. So I have a lot of things on this wish list here. Some
Yeah.
of it needs to be removed 100%. Let me remove this.
Yeah, I've got a lot of mess on mine as well. It finally loaded. I'm not going to go through every one, but I'll pick out some ones that I think are cool. Into the Restless Ruins, I believe is like a Metroidvania. It's supposed to come out early next year. I also have Toon Souls, which is like Cuphead, but it's like Dark Souls art and like monsters and bosses and stuff. I don't know, kind of looks interesting. Another cool one is it looks to be like a dungeon crawler. Just looking at like some of the screenshots, but Jotun Slayer, Hordes of Hell. That one seems kind of cool. Supposed to be coming out in Q4 2024. Also have Screenbound on there. That's a game we've talked about on the podcast before, where you're basically first person holding like a Game Boy device that has like a platformer on it, but then you're also playing the platformer in 3D space as you're playing it on the Game Boy. That's kind of cool. I've got a few games from PAX too. Dragon is Dead is on there. What else? Another one. Yeah, I got Sulfur as well. I've got let's see, Kill Knight. That is a game that's coming out October 2nd. That's actually kind of a cool one. I played the demo for that. Kind of like a Vampire Survivors like ish, but I would say a lot harder, and just a really cool art style, really cool vibe, soundtrack. Trying to see what else is worth calling out here. Oh, there's a game called Little Lands that is not out yet, but it's kind of like Zelda meets Animal Crossing. It seemed pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah, so it's still to be announced, the game. So we'll see when that's actually coming out. And we'll do one more here. I have CyberCorp, which seems to be an interesting kind of top-down shooter, twin stick shooter that's supposed to be coming out. Actually, it just came out like 2 weeks ago, so I guess maybe I should look into that. But yeah, I got a lot of them on here. Honestly, a lot of them I forgot about. I should probably check this wish list more often because I'll usually just add stuff on there, and whenever it notifies me it's out, I'm like, oh, totally forgot about that game. I guess I should go pick it up. But yeah, that's like half my wish list there, I'd say.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All the other ones are dating sims, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, if you want to take it, I'm going to make my wish list private here. Um,
But we do have one more question from Arcarp, who asked best cereal in the variety pack. Now I know exactly which cereal variety pack she is referring to because we had this conversation together in the car not too long ago. It's the Kellogg's one. Raisin Bran, Fruit Loops, Apple Jacks, Pops, Frosted Flakes, Frosted Mini Wheats, and Rice Krispies.
all right. I'm going to go with Raisin Bran. All right. I love Raisin Bran.
No, you're lying.
I swear to God, I
No,
love
stop
Raisin
it.
Bran.
Yeah,
It was
dude.
between Raisin Bran and the Frosted Mini Wheats for me.
How old are you?
Dude, Raisin Bran is awesome. All right. It's awesome. It's chewy and crunchy. It's good. I love it. I love you didn't know I like Raisin Bran? Dude, I love Raisin Bran. Give me those
You
raisins.
like Raisin Bran? I mean, I don't mind it, right? Like, I'm not. And here I am thinking that I'm about to like have to like plant my flag and say, listen, what I like is what I like. Because, all right, first of all, Raisin Bran, Frosted Mini Wheats. I understand the Frosted Mini Wheats. Raisin Bran's a wild card there. I
Yeah,
will be
yeah.
honest with you. I
All right.
don't hate Raisin Bran, but
Yeah.
it's pretty fucking wild that you like it
Yeah, I
that
go out of my
much.
way to buy it.
That's crazy. Do you have
Yeah.
it at your house right now?
No, actually I do have because we go to Trader Joe's. Their version of Raisin Bran isn't that good.
Mm.
Like I gotta get like the actual Raisin Bran, but we basically have like their version of Frosted Mini Wheats right now, and
Okay.
they're really good. Yeah, so that's what I'm going with. Day to day. But what about you? What was your, you know, big cereal that you needed to stand ground on?
Well, so I think Arcarp and I both agreed that Pops was number one.
Really?
We both really like Pops. However,
Okay.
she thought it was she thought it was crazy to say Apple Jacks was better than Fruit Loops. She's crazy to say
Yeah.
that Fruit Loops is better than Apple Jacks, actually. And I think that Apple Jacks are awesome. So anyway,
I think listen, Fruit Loops I think are a little overrated,
yes.
but I also think Apple Jacks are overrated too.
Okay, take
So
it easy, Raisin Bran. My
yeah,
God.
all right. It's all about the raisins. Where's the fruit? At least mine's actually got fruit. I'm the Fruit Loop.
Oh, next week we're going to be reviewing Bingo.
Yeah, and Mahjong.
Mahjong and Bingo. Maybe some Pinochle. So, anyway, thanks for the question, Arcarp. You're going to enjoy that one. That brings us to the rec room. I don't even know what to say. Raisin Bran is wild, my friend. That is crazy.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, they keep making it. So, obviously, you guys are eating it. So,
Yep.
oh.
Actually, Maria doesn't like it at all because she doesn't like raisins. I'm the
Okay.
only one.
I like
Yeah.
raisins. I think raisins is the only good part of that cereal, to be honest.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I'll eat the rest. Listen.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Now, what's Rec Room? This is where we
Yeah.
recommend something perhaps isn't an indie game. And what I have to recommend this week is Music League, which is a app that you can have like a league of multiple different people, friends of yours. You can even join public leagues where and it's not every week, but like you can set it to be however long, right? You get a prompt and you go into the prompt. Maybe it says rock songs, and you submit 3 rock songs you really like. Everybody does it. It's all anonymous. And then once everybody submits, everybody goes in and has X amount of votes depending on what the commissioner sets. So you go through, it builds a Spotify playlist for you of everything that was submitted, and you go through, listen, and then you vote which one's your favorite. You can't vote for your own. And then once everybody votes, you see what the results were, and then you move on to the next category, which could be jazz or something like that. Like there's weird stuff too, like one-hit wonders, and that's not that weird, but you know what I mean. It's very fun. I play with my fiance and her family, and it's a good time. So check it out. It's a fun little thing to get you to listen to new music and also try to expose your music to your friends and loved ones. So Music League, an app.
Yeah, I we had talked about this over the weekend. Last 2 weekends ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually downloaded it, but I haven't actually opened it yet. I just have it there as a reminder. So I'm gonna check it out. It's a cool idea.
It
you
is.
know, with all the algorithms these days, you can just use your friends as the algorithm.
So
you know,
true.
there you go. And I'm actually also recommending an app today that I have been using for weeks now. And I don't know if it's available on iOS. I have it on Android. It's called Epic Freebie Games Radar. Terrible name, really. But basically, I was just looking for an app that would like notify me when like games were free, whether it was on Steam, Xbox, Epic Store, whatever it was. And this is a good one. There is a subscription for it if you decide to pay, but I think if you don't, like I don't pay for it. There's just ads when you click on a game to go redeem it. Let's say like right now, Once Upon a Jester is free on the GOG.com store, and Wildcard Football is free on the Epic Games store. So I could click on this. It'll bring me right to that listing. I can go ahead and just add it to my account. They also have different sections for like what's free this weekend or what's free on Android right now. So I don't know if it is, on iOS, like I said. And then also just what games are free to play in case you're just looking for a new free to play game. So yeah, it's been a cool little app that I just kind of installed it, really kind of like forgot about it. And it just like notifies me, sends a little notification when a game is free. And then that way, if it's something I want to redeem, I'll just be like, oh, I'll just redeem it right now on my phone, or I'll just, hop on the computer and redeem it. So yeah, it's a good way to just not miss any of those free games. Because I know in our Discord, Kmore usually is posting about like cool games that he saw went free on like the Epic Games Store. So that kind of got me thinking, oh, I bet there's like an app for this too. So yeah, Epic Freebie Games Radar. Check it out. It's a cool one. It's a simple app too, just a functional app.
Yeah, it's
nothing fancy.
I think on iOS it's just called Freebie Games Radar.
Okay. There's probably like multiple of these sort of apps too. So I don't even know if it's the same developer, but either way, an app like that is definitely useful.
Yeah, it looks cool. I just downloaded it. So yeah, awesome. 2 apps.
There you go.
2 apps.
Yeah, get a little spyware on your phones there, folks. We're going to be, if you install these apps using code FreshJuice, we'll see all your text messages for the last 6 months.
So on iPhone, when you download an app, typically the app will ask to track your info. And you can say, ask app not to track, which is a crazy thing.
You're just asking, though. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, you're
like,
not.
Will you not track it? No, we're still gonna track it. Thanks for asking, though.
We appreciate the effort. It's a little crazy, but it's the world we live in. You can have my info. Who cares? But that's gonna do it for the show, folks. Another banger. Getting close to 52 apps. In a year, we're going to do the whole episode shirtless.
Yep.
In a hot tub.
But there won't be a video version that week. It'll just be audio. You're just going to have to trust us.
You're just going to hear.
Yeah.
Now, You can find me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod. I have another podcast called Fresh and Buds, and it's about the game Flesh and Blood, the trading card game. It's a physical trading card game. How about that? And you can check me out there. You can check us out on at Fresh Juice Pod on all socials. And Matthew, where can people find you?
Find me at Matty Gorm, Gorm, on all the socials and such. I am getting back on the grind this week with YouTube and Twitch streams, so feel free to pop in and say hi if you see me live.
Say hi if you see him live. Freshy, juicy, wishy-washy. Frogger next week. Goodbye.